Radio Rahim here with the man who needs no introduction at this point. Bob Arum, you have brought yet another Olympian to the Beverly Hills Hotel to announce a signing. First of all, can you just talk to me about how this came about and what you have planned for this fighter in the future?
Well, we're very close and friendly with Honda-san, who is the head of Taken Promotions, and he told us that he was undertaking the promotion of Ryota Murata in Japan and wanted to know if we would be interested in promoting him in the rest of the world. We told him we were, because I was blown away with his performance at the Olympic, that he fought like a professional already, and like the amateurs that I was used to, like Ray Leonard and the Spinks brothers, how they fought in the Montreal Olympics. You know, they didn't look, there were no point system then. They just went out to destroy their opponents.
Now, you mentioned from the podium that at 160, a Japanese fighter is very, very hard to come by. The course that you have plotted for him, you know, the middleweight division championships are split up. Talk to me about maybe the course that you see, the path to a title for him.
Well, you're absolutely right. I don't know of any Japanese fighter who was a world class that was as big as middleweight, and certainly there hadn't been any in the Olympics. This kid, I think, has all the tools. We'll match him against Mexicans, against Americans, and I think within 3 years he'll be fighting for a world title.
Top Rank is definitely taking the lead on going international boxing. Obviously, it's always been an international sport, but you seem to be in the forefront of taking it to other countries, American fighters there, you know, foreign fighters here, putting on big shows. You may have unknowingly or knowingly created a little rivalry in your own camp. You've got a Chinese gold medalist and now a Japanese gold medalist. Is there any in-house, you know, positive competition there? Do you think these guys are going to compete to see who can get a belt first?
That is a subject that I stay a million miles away from. There is no love lost between the Chinese and the Japanese, and I ain't getting into that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. One of the other, if I should say the most popular international fighter that you have and maybe in the world, obviously, is Manny Pacquiao. Recently, we've become aware that Manny Pacquiao is going to face Brandon Rios. Last time you and I talked, you didn't know what was next for Pacquiao. Can you tell me how Brandon Rios became the choice?
We thought it was a fight, Pacquiao and Rios, that the public would love to see, that particularly the Asian market. They love when we did the fights in April, the fights that they loved the most were the knockdown, boom, 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 where guys kept hitting each other. That's a fight that Pacquiao-Rios is. It's an exciting fight. It's perfect for the Asian market, and it's a fight I want to see. So it wasn't hard for me to make that fight.
Now, after the Rios-Alvarado fight, Rios seemed to want to have a rematch right then and there on the same night if he could. I'm sure it wasn't that difficult to convince him that Pacquiao was better for him as a next fight. What about Alvarado? Did he lobby for the Pacquiao fight?
No, Alvarado, we couldn't take a chance because his hand, at the time we made the fight with Rios and Pacquiao, we still didn't know how long the rehab would be for Alvarado's hand. It was a serious tendon injury. Now we know that he will be back in November, but we didn't know that then. So we couldn't take a chance with booking that fight, particularly in an area that we just started promoting. And then after they put a lot of money in, the fight blows up because the guy can't compete. So I couldn't take a chance with Alvarado. That left Rios as the leading possibility.
Now, you say fight fans love the boom, 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 as you put it. There's no question that Bam Bam brings the boom, boom. But stylistically, it would seem that it's a favorable fight for Manny Pacquiao. When you made it, did you see it that way? And did Pacquiao ask for Rios, or was it by default?
No, Pacquiao was willing to fight either Rios or Alvarado. He wanted to fight Bradley or Marquez, but they decided to fight each other. So that left Rios or Alvarado. And then when we explained to him that we couldn't count on Alvarado because of the hand at that point in time, so then that left Rios.
It looks like like maybe these two fights that you mentioned, Bradley, Marquez, Pacquiao, and Rios may have created like this bottleneck. The winner of each fight face each other. Is that a possibility?
Well, that would make all the sense in the world. But boxing being boxing, who knows if sense prevails?
Now, whenever Pacquiao's name is in the public and there's a fight on the horizon, there's many rumors about. So I'd like to ask you for some clarification. Is it true that Manny Pacquiao will not fight in the United States again?
No, that's not true at all. What I said was that with the fight going as well as it is in Asia, he might never fight in the United States. But no, absolutely. He would be open to fighting in the United States. It's all a matter of running the numbers. If he makes a certain amount in the United States, he has to pay 40% in taxes to Uncle Sam. If he makes a certain amount of money in Macau, it's a very small percentage, most of which gets weighed. So you run the numbers. In other words, if he fought in the United States and the numbers were such that after taking into account the taxes, it still made economic sense, he would fight in the United States.
Now, to your point on the numbers, with Pacquiao coming to the end of his career, relatively soon, but not immediately, Mayweather at the same kind of place in his career. There's also been talk that Manny has said he still wants the Mayweather fight. Obviously, Pacquiao Marquez 5 is out there. Given your druthers, all the crap that it takes to put one of those fights together aside, just in the perfect world, which fight would you prefer to see?
Well, Mayweather has his hands full with Canelo. Manny will have his hands full with Rios. Let's take a look at where they stand after both of the guys have an opportunity to fight this year. It's silly to start talking about the future.
Though. Your preference.
I have no preference now. Let's talk about it when and if it becomes a viable topic.
All right, I'll ask you one more question that is not, on the board yet, but it's another question as to what may happen. Could we possibly see another Thriller Manila before Pacquiao retires? Could you take him home to the Philippines for one fight?
I don't see why not. You have to understand, in Manila now, they filled in part of the waterfront around Manila Bay, and they're building 4 unbelievably luxurious casinos. Those casinos should be up and running within the next year. When that happens, they're going to want to put an event on in an arena that's very, very close by, a beautiful state-of-the-art arena. So the answer is yeah, because they're going to use a Manny Pacquiao fight to bring players from around Asia. So I expect that we'll have another Thriller in Manila.
And turning your attention to one more Filipino superstar that you have in your stable, with the Rigondeaux fight, it was a huge upset to most boxing fans, although not all. Some did think that Rigondeaux had a better shot than most. But Nonito Donaire not performing up to what most people expected him to deliver. First of all, were you surprised at Rigondeaux's performance? And secondly, do you think a rematch is in order?
Well, a rematch is in order. I don't know if it's going to happen right away, but eventually we'll do a rematch, yeah. And I thought that Donaire's performance left a lot to be desired. I think he was not focusing as much as he should on the fight. I think it might be different if they fought again. But Rigondeaux fought an excellent fight.
And lastly, you did mention, the focus on the fight. I'm going to take you back to Pacquiao just for one question. Freddie Roach is on record several times saying that camp in the Philippines is not as focused as camp in Hollywood. You've mentioned that Pacquiao intends to train in the Philippines for this fight and then maybe just a week or two in Macau. Are you at all concerned about his focus in the Philippines and the camp that may be produced there?
Well, he's been training in the Philippines when he trains there in a mountain area. And it's a resort area. And they don't let him alone. When he's training this time, it'll be in Gensan where he lives, and the local people give him a lot more space because they're more used to him.
Have you spoken to Nonito Donaire since the surgery, and has he expressed to you what he'd like to do next?
Well, I haven't talked to him in depth, no. We'll be doing that in the next week or so.
Bob, thanks for the time. Congratulations on a great signing. Radio Rahim with Bob Arum.